Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet our incredible guest for today's episode of SMB Spotlight. I am absolutely thrilled to introduce someone who embodies innovation, resilience, and a relentless drive to solve real-world problems. Please join me in welcoming the brilliant and visionary founder of Pure Shave, the one and only James Kenning. What started with a late night kitchen experiment has evolved into a standout skincare brand that is effective and seriously skin kind. But that's not all. Pure Shave is proudly vegan friendly and recognized with a Good Brand Award by Sublime Magazine, a true testament to its commitment to clean, conscious grooming you can trust. And while solving the shaving problem, James didn't forget about the planet. With sustainability at the heart of Pure Shave, you will get premium products that refill so you can have a guilt-free shave. Today, we're diving into James's incredible journey from irritated skin to industry recognition and how a personal pain point sparked a grooming revolution. Please give a warm welcome to the brilliant James Kenning. James, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Can you tell us a bit about you, a bit of your background, how you grew up, your early career goals?
Yep, so grew up in a place called Shirley, which is just outside Croydon. And then when I was 10, we moved to Wallingham, where I went to school there in sixth form. Didn't go to uni or college.
Oh.
I originally wanted to join the RAF.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why?
I'd always sort of read books about the RAF when I was younger, and it's just something that kind of connected, but because of my asthma, they wouldn't let me join.
Oh, though I used to have asthma too.
Yeah.
I grew out of mine though. Do you still have it?
A little bit, not much, but
Do you need an inhaler right now?
Yeah. Panic.
But how did you go from the RAF to being an entrepreneur?
So when I was at school, all my mates had sort of Saturday jobs and stuff,
Yeah.
but I didn't, and because I didn't want to work for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I ended up, my mum worked at a estate agents,
Okay.
and I ended up making a gardening company to do all the gardens for the empty properties. So yeah, it started quite early on, this sort of whole entrepreneur sort of different approach to getting money.
That's incredible because
Yeah.
at such a young age, how did you think, okay, no, I want to do this for myself? Where did that kind of come from?
I genuinely don't know. I don't know.
You're like being told what to do.
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, it possibly stems from, because I was quite ill when I was younger with asthma.
Yeah.
I was constantly being told, no, you can't do that, you can't do this, don't do that, you'll have an asthma attack. And I think that kind of made me quite stubborn.
Yeah.
And if somebody says no to me, well, I thought, well, I'm going to do that regardless, you know. So I think that's possibly where it comes from, is constantly being told no, but me going, no, do you know what, I'm going to do it.
I love that. Resilience. I love that. So how was Pure Shave born?
Pure Shave was born out of necessity, basically.
Yeah.
I suffer really badly from razor burn and razor rash.
Okay.
Always have since I started shaving. And I can remember pre-internet days, I would get all the lads' mags, FHM, and loaded, scan through those for new products that came out, spend an absolute fortune, and none of them would work. So it was born out of needing to create something that didn't cause me to be in pain.
Yeah. Would you say that kind of shaped the type of founder you are today?
Possibly. I don't. It's a difficult one to answer that one. I don't know necessarily that it did.
What kind of lessons would you say shaped who you are today as a founder then? What kind of, obviously you've talked about being resilient and hearing no a lot and you being like, well, if it's a no, I'm going to turn it into a yes.
Yeah.
What kind of other lessons would you say shaped who you are today as a founder?
I think that is the main one. It's that sort of slight stubborn streak and not wanting to take no for an answer and always trying to find a different approach to get a solution. So I think that's probably where it stems from.
And you mentioned just now about finding issues with, shaving. When you noticed that you had those problems, did you automatically think, I'm going to create something to benefit this?
No, that came much later. I just thought, that's what shaving was. It was a painful, horrible, uncomfortable process. And it wasn't until much later that I stumbled across the idea that sort of was the nugget for Pure Shave, really.
And how did you stumble across that idea?
So it was my other work is in the film industry.
Yeah.
And I'd been off around the country doing a job for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I was quite scruffy at the end of it, and got a call to go and do another job down in the New Forest.
Yeah.
So I went down to the hotel, met up with the director, and he took one look at me and said, "You need to be clean shaven in the
Lord.
morning." And I was like, "Okay," but I hadn't brought any shaving stuff with me, so I went to the reception desk and said, "Have you got anything that I can use?" And they gave me one of the blue Gillette
Yep.
disposable razors, which I looked at and I thought, I'm going to rip my face to shreds. So I went back to the room and tried to find something to use that I could put on my face to help. And the only thing that I found to use was a hair conditioner.
Okay.
And it worked. It was like, okay, this isn't too bad. Although it's a disposable razor, it actually allowed me to shave quite well. And that was the nugget. That was the moment I thought, if I added to a hair conditioner and put different things in with it, maybe I can get to a point where, it would create a product. And so that was the point. That was around about 2003, 2004.
Wow. So what did you do next?
Nothing. So I sat on
Okay.
that. I had a young family at that time, trying to sort of keep money coming in. So I didn't really do anything with it until, again, I was doing some filming for Barclays Entrepreneur Week.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole week going around the country, listening to all the top entrepreneurs in the country. And the one thing that I took away from it was they were basically saying, if you've got an idea, you've got to do something with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of finally dawned on me, that idea that I had, 10 years previous.
You sat on it for 10 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, didn't do anything with it. And I thought, I've got to try. I've got to try it. So literally that afternoon, I went home, did research on the internet and started.
So how did you then move forward with the actual components? Did you try DIY in the kitchen? Was it adding elements and this doesn't work or?
So basically on the back of that, the Entrepreneurs Week, I went home, did some research, and I cherry picked half a dozen sort of ingredients.
Yeah.
Basically each ingredient was picked because it had a specific benefit to the skin.
Nice.
So from the ground up, I designed it to, every component had a benefit to the skin. And literally sat about mixing in my kitchen at home. And I think on the 7th attempt, got something that worked really well.
But that's not too bad, because you hear sometimes of people going through hundreds of different recipes or variations. So 7th attempt.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I'd restricted the ingredient list to sort of literally the bare minimum, hence Pure Shave.
Yeah.
I think it just made life a lot easier. It was just about getting the right amount of each of them to work.
That is, I can't imagine what your kitchen looked like.
Yeah, there were loads I had a very patient wife.
Yeah, I was going to say. Better this? Nope, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So from those early stages, what would you say was the biggest challenge in taking that idea and leaping into a launch?
Financial. It was the financial.
I love the honesty.
Yeah, trying to get the money together to do it properly was the main thing that held me back. So that was 2015. So from 2015 onwards, I was working with a cosmetic formulation company to get the formula right, but I still had no way of launching because I didn't have the cash.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And on the back of a bounce back loan, that gave me the money that I needed to build the website, get the initial production run done. So it was all launched off the back of a bounce back loan.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So if COVID hadn't have happened, this wouldn't have happened.
And this is a weird thing, COVID was detrimental to so much, but I feel like a lot of people either had ideas or kind of had this ability to create something out of the madness that was COVID. Would you say that clearly that the bounce back loan helped? Do you think that if that hadn't have happened, you wouldn't have maybe gone to outsource or try to go for a business loan in a standard way?
Basically, yeah, if COVID hadn't have happened, because the problem I had, I was literally the exact wrong demographic to get any government-backed help schemes, any grants, any small business loans that are backed by the government. I was the wrong demographic. I was a white male living inside the M25 and over 50.
Yeah.
So it's like, I literally tried every avenue and everything was closed. Wow. So the fact that COVID happened and the bounce back loan happened was a bit of a godsend, really.
That's actually crazy to think of it. But moving through to development of Pure Shave, how did you refine the formulas? I know you've mentioned working with...
Yes, we worked with a cosmetic formulation company, and the tricky thing there was to find a company that would let me keep the intellectual property, the intellectual property, the IP. So most of the companies out there would, as soon as they get your formula and they make a tweak, it becomes theirs. It becomes theirs.
And why is IP so important?
Well, it was my idea. I want to keep the rights to it. I don't want somebody else running off with the idea. It's been a long time in development, so I want the ability to be able to keep my formula, basically.
And have you been able to define, or refine, should I say, the branding and the mission of the product?
So that this kind of all happened in conjunction with going backwards and forwards with the cosmetic formulation company. While they were doing that, I was refining all of the branding, and the delivery was the trickiest part of it. Was actually trying to work out, how does it work? How do you actually get the product out of the can or the bottle or whatever? So that was one of the trickiest things to do.
How did you position yourself in a very saturated grooming market, especially as a small independent brand? Yeah,
that was, and it still remains one of the trickiest parts, because you're battling against people that can spend millions on marketing and advertising. So we've really refined it down to anyone with a painful shave, razor rash, razor burn, or sensitive skin, and that's where we target, and that is who it's actually targeted at.
Do you feel like the younger you would be proud of this?
I think they'd be amazed, actually.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes, business owners don't take a second to think of what their younger selves, like, I think this is incredible, so to see there's an issue that you had that affects other people as well, and you've now created something.
Yeah, I mean, that to be honest, one of the main things that drives me forward is, especially now, having got through the sort of development, and it's a product and it's working and it's the branded and it's selling. Yeah. The thing that keeps me going is the reviews. Yeah. Because you get people saying, I wish I'd found this 30 years ago. Yeah. So you're getting people that are really long in the tooth from a shaving point of view, and they're loving it. It's been described as the holy grail of shaving by one guy. That it's just amazing to see that it is making a difference at quite a base level, really. Yeah.
And would you say those things like that are some of the key milestones in your journey with Pure Shave?
Yeah, that and one of the other key milestones was getting into GQ magazine.
Yeah, that's big.
That was amazing. Big. Yeah, because I sent loads of samples out to loads of journalists, and one of them, a guy called Adrian Clark, picked it up, who's a GQ editor, and to get put into one of the proper reviews, so it wasn't a paid sort of advertisement. It was one of their base reviews. Yeah. And I think it made into the top 15, which was wonderful.
How did you celebrate that?
Yeah. That's what Prosecco's for.
Oh, dear, you're right. I had to be careful what word I said there.
No, yeah, that was a really good win. And even now, I'm still getting sales that come via the GQ magazine, so it's great.
Things like that, when they happen, they must feel very reaffirming. Like you've brought something out that it does what it says on the tin, and you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it was, especially the feedback from GQ was very much validation. Yeah. Because up until that point, it had been just me and giving the product to a couple of mates and getting them to test it, and
Yeah.
they went, "Oh, it's really good."
Yeah. I like it.
yeah. But to get like an industry person who all they do is review grooming products to say this is really good, that that was a huge moment.
I feel so proud of you. Like I feel so happy for you. I'm like grinning like like it was me.
No, I did it.
I did it. Yeah, somehow I was part of it. But sustainability is at the heart of Pure Shave.
Yep.
From the refillable aluminium bottles
Yep.
to zero waste options. Why was that a non-negotiable for you?
It was a happy accident.
Really?
Yeah, it was not meant, that's not how I originally started it. So it was originally meant to be in a CFC free, naturally air aspirated pressured bottle.
So what happened?
So the thought process was that as you pump it, it creates the foam as it pumps out.
Yeah.
So like, you can get some hand soaps that create a foam.
Yeah.
That was the thought. Unfortunately, the technology wasn't there to make our formula foam up to the state that I needed it.
Okay.
And at that point, it was just at the very, very beginning of people talking about single-use plastics and about the sustainability of products. So that then, when I realised that I couldn't get the foaming thing to work, I had to come up with another way of distributing the product. And it then made me sort of research the other options, which were the aluminium can, and then that led to, well, hang on a second, I can refill that. So it was a happy accident. But since then, since I've got that settled, it's been all about the sustainability and the refillability.
Would you say that moment kind of reminded you of how to continue being resilient? Because you could have just given up.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole journey is full of, I could give up there, I could give up here, and quite justified.
Yeah.
But again, it's probably that comes back to that being told no, and me going, well, no, that's not acceptable. There's got to be a way around it. So there's always a way around a problem. You just got to work the problem.
And that's really good advice for anyone who wants to, start their own business, be an entrepreneur. There's always going to be a problem.
Yeah, there's always it's all about problem solving.
Yeah. Would you say that, or how should I say, has customer feedback shaped how Pure Shave has grown?
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's literally everything. So as soon as I get an email, a WhatsApp message or a text message or social media message, I respond to it. If I think it's worth then rolling out across the whole thing, then that's what I do. So it's all led by customer feedback.
Can you give me any examples of how customer feedback has directly impacted?
Yeah, recently we had an issue with the formulation. So it was slightly thinner than it had been before. It didn't impact the effectiveness of it. But one of the customers emailed me and said, look, it's not what it was. It feels different. So I then went back to the manufacturers and jumped up and down a bit. And to their credit, they went, yeah, okay, well, there's an issue with the mix. So we rectified it there and then. And the next batch was, back to what it should be. So it was this really subtle difference. It wasn't a massive difference, and it didn't affect how the product worked. Yeah. But the feedback, somebody clocked it, and I thought, right, okay, we need to address it.
Do you know why I love that? Because I've had like skin creams, even sunscreen that I use, and I'm just like, oh, something is a little bit different. Something's a bit off. But you feel like you have no one to talk to. You just feel like you're just by yourself. Yeah. But the fact that you took that on board, honestly, I love that.
Well, it's all about the customer journey. That's one of the things that I've been really clear about, is that the customer are the reason for being. And if they've got an issue, then I deal with it head on.
Well, speaking about customers, Pure Shave, who's it for? People like me, women?
Do you know what it's one of the questions that I read later on. Basically, I get a load of feedback from guys that have bought it saying that their wives and girlfriends are nicking it.
Yeah.
So it is, it is for everyone. It works on any hair.
Okay, so does that mean that I can use it on my legs, my underarms, my other areas?
Absolutely, works perfect. Any hair basically works wonders.
Really?
So I've got guys that shave their head. My daughters use it on their legs, underarms. One daughter's at uni, so she's managed to get loads of her mates to buy it. So yeah. It's great for ladies.
Does it have any effect on people who might have like skin conditions like eczema?
Yeah, we've had quite a few people that have emailed in saying, they have eczema and it's worked wonders for them. Really? So it does, any sensitive skin issues, it's perfect.
So I was going to ask, what kind of skin types does it work best for?
Everything, literally everything. Even if you're somebody that doesn't have a painful shaving situation or, normal products work for you, it will still work because of how it is designed to work.
So how it's formulated.
Yeah.
So how does it actually help? Because I love looking at it. I'm just like...
Yeah, I'm chuffed with the branding.
Like,
Branding
really
looks good.
Lovely colouring.
Yeah.
But how does it actually help reduce irritation?
So it works in two different ways.
Okay.
So there's like an active ingredient in it that helps soften the stubble or the hair before you shave.
Okay.
So it means you need less pressure to actually cut it. So the really fascinating bit of information that human hair on the face has the same tensile strength as copper.
I believe that. Cover these chin hairs.
So, the thought process is if you can soften that, then it's going to be easier to cut. Every ingredient within the list has a skin benefit. So we've got two moisturising agents, which are both oils.
Yeah.
And the foaming agents are water-based. So you need an emulsifier to mix those two together. So even the emulsifier was chosen because it had a benefit to skin. So it's been designed from the floor up. Literally every ingredient had to have a benefit to the skin, which is why it's so effective. And that's how, it helps reduce irritation.
That's incredible. Like, I'm just listening to you and I feel like you're like not a mad scientist, but this is science-based, It's not just off a whim.
Yeah, my science teachers would have an
They'll be so
absolute field
proud.
day. I was useless at chemistry at school.
But talking about benefits, not just for us, there's benefits for the environment. Please tell us why, the refill model, talk to us about the refill model and how it works and why it's better for the customer and the environment.
Yeah, so the main customer benefit is the price reduction. So the refill costs per 150 ml a lot less than if you bought a bottle. And then obviously the main benefit then is that you're not throwing away as much waste. So I think the beauty industry across the world creates 120 billion pieces of waste, plastic and packaging. So this is only a small drop in the ocean, but every time somebody buys a refill, that's in effect 3 bottles that they haven't bought and thrown away.
That's incredible.
So, I think if everybody just changes their mindset slightly, the world will be a better place.
Absolutely, and I think we forget, we're so used to just, if it's broke, throw it away, start again.
Yeah, it's a throwaway mentality.
But we only have one Earth.
Yep, yep, exactly.
But thinking about the future of Pure Shave,
yep.
What do you have in works? What are you planning?
So there's 3 different new products being planned at the moment. So there's 2 shampoos, so a daily shampoo and a caffeine-based shampoo.
Caffeine-based?
Yeah, and a conditioner to go with both of those, and then a refillable deodorant.
Really?
Yeah.
So how comes those are the products? What do you say is the link? Is it overall caring for the whole body, or?
Again, it's products that clients have asked for, customers have asked for. They said, do you do, or is there plans to do? So that's always been in my mind to expand the brand, but just taking the lead from what the customers are asking for.
And with the deodorants, I've been seeing refillable deodorants and more natural-based deodorants. Yeah. What type of deodorant are you looking into?
So it will be a refillable, natural. The other thing with all of the products is everything is natural-based. There's no harsh chemicals at all. So it would be natural-based, but the concern there in the research and development of that is how effective they are.
Yeah.
So if they're not effective, then we won't produce them. But that's currently being tested. So.
Now, you've already said that your customers and their feedback shapes so much. What would you say is the most interesting or surprising thing you've learned from customer feedback?
Going back to the wives and girlfriends nicking the products, they seem to love it. So we're now starting to see them order independently of the husband or the partner. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, that's been the main thing.
When you saw that, did it make you think, oh, okay, are we going to have enough for this type of demand, or do we need to change anything about our branding, or did you think, okay, no, we'll keep it as it is and things will work.
I did think way back when I first started the planning for this, the original name was going to be Blue and Pink.
Okay.
So there'd be a male and a female line, but then my daughters were very much against that. So we've gone down the single branding. The fragrance that we make is branded as him, her, they.
Yeah.
So it's very much all inclusive. I know the branding's slightly male orientated.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a massive,
I like the blue.
massive big deal.
It's a cool blue.
But we're just about to release just a pure white bottle.
Oh, okay.
So you'll be able to buy the pure white bottle, so it's less male orientated.
So when you have these ideas and things that you want to change, how do you kind of go through the process of deciding whether you're going to implement those changes or not? So I'm sure you have loads of ideas all the time.
Yeah, that's one of the tough things, is reining those ideas in.
Yeah.
I even looked at sort of having a whiskey brand as well, but that's slightly different.
That's something different.
Yeah, slightly different. It's like, how can you? It's my wife in the background, very patiently going, no, no, stop. But you know, that's part of the fun of doing it is having all these ideas and then honing them down and going ahead with one and getting that one idea right.
Have you had any ideas that haven't worked though?
Not many. The main one was the very original idea for it to be in a foaming pump dispenser. Okay. That was the one that didn't work. But then that led to the whole refill set.
But that leads me to my next question. What would you say are some of the biggest hurdles you faced, especially as an independent founder?
Again, the biggest hurdle has been financial.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm the wrong demographic to get any assistance with government-backed loans or whatever. But that's been the biggest thing, and that's the biggest thing that's holding us back.
Yeah.
Is that we're not quite at the level where an investor would invest because we're not doing enough turnover.
Yeah.
So we're relying very much on organic growth and just growing it slowly, and that's how we've got to do it.
Would you ever consider going on a show like, the Dragons and stuff? Why not?
No, I very, very early on, loads of my friends have been saying that because I work in the TV industry. They say, oh, go on, Dragon's Den. But again, it's pointless because I'm not at that level where an investor would invest. Okay. We don't have enough turnover per month for them to even bat an eyelid at. So it's a tricky situation, but I'm just resigned to the fact that I've got to grow this slowly and organically, and it is working. Some of the changes I've made over the last year have seen sort of nearly a 500-600% increase in sales.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's getting there.
And it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Exactly.
Have there been times where you've considered giving up?
Every day.
What keeps you going?
Every single day I wake up thinking, why am I doing this, you idiot? But no, so it's been like a 2 or 3 day roller coaster throughout the whole period. Every time I shave, I think, this is why I'm doing it. Because the product's so good.
Yeah.
And that's what drives you forward. It's like, okay, this product is worth the effort. It is worth getting out of bed for in the morning. And added to that, the reviews that you get. Yeah. It's a real shot in the arm. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to launch a product-based business?
That's tricky. I would say there's 2 pieces of advice I would give. Number one, with social media advertising.
Okay.
Is if you're selling a product, set your ads up to sell the product. So don't go for traffic campaigns, loads of other different campaigns you can go. If you want sales, go for sales. I wasted a lot of money early on trying to, thinking, traffic, that's what I need. I need people to go. But no, the algorithms on Facebook are so good now that if you want somebody to buy your product, then go for a sales campaign. It's scary to do it, but it works. Wow. And the second thing would be with your websites. Okay. I would say 80% of websites that I look at make the same mistake, and that is the websites are about themselves. And I made that mistake at the beginning. It was all about, Pure Shave, we do this. This is what we do. Our product's great. Use this, and everybody does it. you build a website, it's for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's not. It should be about your customer.
Okay.
So we made some changes on the website that basically says, do you suffer from this? We have the solution.
Okay.
Is this a problem for you? We have the solution. So it's just kind of refocusing how your website comes across.
Because it's all about the customer at the
It's
end
all
of the
about
day.
the customer, yeah. It's nothing. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about my journey. My journey's on there.
Yeah.
If they want to dig deep and read about it.
Yeah.
But primarily, it's a sales-based website, and it's about the customer's problems.
Yeah.
And that's most people across most industries make that same mistake.
Would you say social media has helped your business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been very difficult to find the right approach and the right companies backing me up.
Yeah.
You know, these guys have been a godsend in terms of getting the message out. Again, I've wasted a lot of money prior to joining Affordable Socials on companies that promise the earth but deliver very little.
Yeah. What does a typical day look like for you as the founder of Pure Shaved? Are you still involved in like the day-to-day of the business?
Yeah, very much so. It's just me, basically.
Really?
It's just me. My wife is amazing. She does stuff when I'm away filming.
Yeah.
She kind of takes over the running of it. But yeah, basically it's just me. So a typical day would be the first hour and a half, I'll be just literally looking at the figures of the advertising, sales, and trying to work out where the next sale comes from.
Yeah.
Then after that hour and a half, it will be looking more at the marketing side of things, and then finally packing and sending out the orders.
That's very hands-on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's as I say, it's not got to the stage where I need staff. I'm hoping that will come at some point as sales increase.
But would you ever want to take a step back, or are you someone who would always want to have a hand in the business, no matter how big it gets?
Yeah, I think I'd always have a hand in it until hopefully such time as we sell it. But no, I think I'd always want a sense of control and leading the ship.
Because it's your baby.
Yeah.
It's your baby.
Yeah.
But how are you balancing life and Pure Shave then?
There isn't a balance at the moment.
Okay.
Because it's early stages. It's all hands to the pump. My daughter at uni texts me regularly. How's Pure Shave going? Is it all right? So it's at the front of everybody's mind. So we switch off at certain points throughout the day.
Of course.
If a message comes in on WhatsApp, I'm there.
That's incredible. The reason I say it's so incredible is because I can just imagine the impact it's having on your daughters, and what you're teaching them with your business. And I think the kind of thing that we don't always learn in schools about, how to really be invested in something, how to keep going when we hear no's, how to be fully involved, and you're making it work.
Well, the thing is, at school, I think it's really important that children don't get taught how to fail. Failure is not an option, but in real life, failure happens daily.
All the time.
So there's a big sort of tranche of me that thinks that, the younger generation don't know how to deal with failure. Yeah. And I see it in my daughters. If they fail at something, they're distraught.
Yeah.
And that stems from it's okay to fail. It's how you deal with the failure that counts.
And it's funny you say that, because for a long time my biggest fear was failure.
It is for a lot of people.
Yeah, and because we're literally taught that if we try something, it has to go right, otherwise the world's over. But I think failure can really be your biggest teacher.
Yeah, it
and
is,
how
massively.
you deal with it is.
Yeah, how you deal with it and move forward.
Yeah.
Every day I wake up, there's a problem to be solved.
Yeah.
And that could be seen as a failure, but if you drive through it and, get through the other side, then you learn from it.
Absolutely. James, we're going to do a quick fire round.
Okay.
So, shaving routine, morning or evening?
Evening.
Okay, end of the day, you kind of have a bit more time.
Yep. Gives your skin to recover overnight.
Oh, good one. I like that. Okay, beard or clean shaven?
Clean shaven.
I see the look.
Unless it's holiday time, in which case.
Oh, then all bets are off.
Yeah, all bets are off. I'm not doing that. It takes time.
Do we feel like? Okay. Oh, favorite product from your range?
Ooh. Aside from the shaving cream, which will always be number one, the wash bag.
Why?
It's just really beautiful. It's a really nice. It's a waxed leather wash bag, and it just looks really amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's lovely. Gorgeous.
I need a wash bag to be part of this.
Talk to me afterwards.
So listen, we've got some fan questions.
Yep.
And one of them was, how often would you recommend shaving?
That is almost an unanswerable question.
Yeah.
It's down to the individual,
Yeah.
how your skin copes with shaving. I mean, the great thing about Pure Shave is it'll allow you to shave as often as you like.
Yeah.
So I've got a very good friend of mine who's a teacher who never used to be able to shave daily.
Oh.
But now he can shave daily using Pure Shave. So it's entirely up to you, basically.
Okay, I appreciate that. How do you deal with razor burn?
I use Pure Shave. Simple as that. You know, I don't get razor. Actually, the answer to that is I don't get razor burn anymore.
So it actually it sounds like it almost heals.
It's not so much healing. It doesn't irritate to start with because of how it's designed. It softens the hair and it gives you such a slick coating on the skin that you just don't get razor burn.
Honestly, when I was younger, I would have definitely needed that. I've got another one. Who would your dream collaboration be? Now, this could be anybody. It could be a brand. It could be a person of interest.
I don't know. I guess probably a football player, I guess.
Really?
Maybe a football
Dare
player.
I ask, who do you support?
Crystal Palace.
We'll go on to our next question then. I'm joking. Do you know what?
Harsh.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are doing well right now.
Well, we're in the semi-final of the FA Cup this afternoon, so.
Okay, in that case, you're doing much better than we are because I'm Man United. we'll just move on, right? We'll just keep on moving.
Keep going.
Would you ever consider expanding into skin care or beard care products? And you've kind of already answered this because I know there's conditioners.
Yeah, so we get doing the hopefully the shampoo and the conditioner
Yeah.
at some point in the near future. We've already got the moisturiser, which works really well. Beard products, possibly not.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. Don't say that. We love a beard. But I feel like what you're expanding into makes sense with your range.
Yeah. It's the refillability that is the key driver of everything, really.
Is there anything that you would never want to be a part of Pure Shave? Is there anything like that you would just be like, no, that is not us at all, no matter how much money someone threw at you?
I don't think so. There's nothing that I can think of that would...
That would be completely, like, off the Richter scales, like, no. Apart from beard stuff.
Plastic disposable razors, I guess, that would be a big no-no.
Yeah, but that doesn't stand with your sustainability either. So
No, exactly.
That's definitely...
Yeah.
That's not a dream collaboration.
No.
What would you say is the legacy you hope to leave in the men's grooming and sustainability space?
I think the legacy is the reviews and how we're making a difference to just a really mundane thing of shaving. You know, it's so uncomfortable and painful for quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
So if we can change that for someone, job done.
That's amazing. And where can people find you, follow you, purchase your products, hear more about your story?
So purchasing wise, we're on our own website, so pureshave.co.uk, and then we're on all the social media channels. So come and join us.
Oh, well, listen, now I know that women can use it.
Oh yeah.
And on other places as well.
Yep.
I'm part of the journey. And what final message or takeaway would you like our listeners to leave with today?
Basically, if you've got any painful shaving situation or you suffer from sensitive skin, razor burn, razor rash, wherever, give it a try.
And
you can get a sample size, so you don't have to commit to the big bottle.
That's amazing.
So yeah, there's ways for you to try it without spending a fortune.
James, thank you incredibly.
That's a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to tune in to next week's episode. You won't want to miss it. I am absolutely delighted to introduce someone who radiates calm, compassion, and creativity. A woman on a mission to make mindfulness feel real, relevant, and reachable for everyone. So please join me in welcoming the wonderful and inspiring Zainab Abdi.
So using our senses to ground us in this moment right here. That's all we have. We don't have now. So be here now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because we are so focused on tomorrow and the what if and
last week and next week and what if.
Everything but
constantly,
now.
yes. But we only ever have now. It's wild when you think about it. So we're constantly somewhere else.
Yes.
But we only actually have now.
Time traveling all the time.